Hi, this is Doc from DocCooks.com, and today I'm going to be making an Erie, Pennsylvania staple hot dog topping called Greek sauce. I don't know whether this sauce is actually Greek or not, but it's been called Greek sauce here since before I was born. This recipe generally uses a crock pot to make it, but I'm going to be using an Instapot today to speed the cooking process up, and then I'm going to leave it on the high slow cook setting until we're ready to use it later for dinner. If you don't have an Instapot, that's totally fine. You can do this in just a crock pot. You add all your ingredients on, you leave it on high, and it's got to sit for about 12 hours, and then you're ready to go. So the first step for making this dish calls for us to dice some onions. We're using 2 small yellow onions for this recipe today. You can really use any type of onion that you want. I find that the yellow ones are cheap, easy to get a hold of. You can get a whole bag of them for like $3. They work great in this. This is an onion heavy dish. It uses quite a bit of onions in it, and that's what gives it kind of its signature flavor here. Alright, now I'm taking the onions here and I'm adding them to my Instapot bowl. The next thing that we're adding in is going to be a cup of stock. Now I'm using chicken stock here. You can use water if you don't have any. I make my own stock, so I always have a lot of stock laying around. I just find that using stock as opposed to water adds a lot more flavor to the dish. The next thing we're adding in is 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. Please don't mistake this for spaghetti sauce. It's actually a Hunt's brand that you buy. It says tomato sauce on it. It doesn't really have any flavorings in it. It's just pretty much a bland tomato sauce. Next thing we're adding in is a teaspoon each of salt and pepper. And then we're adding in a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of ground cumin, a teaspoon of oregano, and a teaspoon of basil. Then we also have 1 teaspoon of red peppers. After that, you add in 1 pound of ground beef. Alright, now we're going to take this over to the Instapot, get it on the simmer setting, start everything cooking before we pressure cook it. Alright, so I set this in my Instapot right now, and the best thing that we can do here is to start to mince this meat up in here, break it up. I get my meat from a farm up in New York. They tend to give it to me in these tubes. So right now we got to stir this up and get the meat all mashed up. Notice how it's not super soupy, but it's not overly dry too. It kind of almost looks like the beginnings of when you're forming a meatloaf. Pressure cook this on high for 30 minutes. Alright, you can see it's done pressure cooking. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this on the slow cook setting in my Instapot, and I'm going to leave it probably another 6 or 7 hours because it's in the afternoon, we're not eating dinner yet. But this is about what it should look like. The only other thing that I'm going to do before I set the slow cook setting is I'm going to add about a teaspoon of yellow mustard to it and then give that a stir up. Now all you have to do for this dish is to just let it simmer in your slow cooker on high for another couple hours. Alright guys, we're back, and before we get to the final preparation with this, I just want to mention the hot dogs we're using are an Erie hot dog. These are called Smiths. We're actually really lucky living here. These hot dogs are so good that when people leave Erie, they actually call back here to have them shipped to them. There's actually quite a few places that have the Erie box, because there's certain foods that you can get here you just can't get anywhere else. And a lot of the Erie boxes will include things like pepperoni balls, sponge candy, Smith's hot dogs, Smith's bacon. They're incredible hot dogs. But you can also use whatever hot dog you have around. However, I will share a link in the description, if I can find it, to a place that does ship Smith's or does ship some of the Erie boxes. That way, if you really want to do this the way it's served here, you can order one of those. But right now, making the actual dog itself couldn't be easier. You literally take your hot dog, put it on the bun, spoon the Greek sauce that we made over top, add some shredded cheese, and a good squirt of mustard. And you've got this regional favorite from Northwest Pennsylvania, the Greek dog. Thanks for watching, guys. If this recipe helped you out at all, if you learned something from it, please like, comment, subscribe if you're watching it on YouTube. You can find this and more of my recipes on doccooks.com. The full recipe will be linked below in the description. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.